Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Adaptive Esports Tournaments Invitational. We've got a really exciting day lined up for you guys with some special guests, some fun events, some fun game modes. But before we get into all of that, Jen is joining me on the desk today. Our first special guest, I suppose, officially. How are you doing?
Oh, that's quite an honor. Yeah, I'm glad to be in town in the studio. Your coffee is just giving up maple syrup, so I'm getting really hungry right now.
No peeking behind the curtain to the late night coffee we have fueling us here. But I just know that's because the matches are going to be so exciting here today. So I want to make sure that I am ready for all of that. And speaking of those matches, we'll take a look at kind of what you guys can expect out of our format, what we've got going on, and those other special guests participating. So you see our star-studded lineup there at the top. We've got members from G2, Logitech G, AbleGamers, and of course our AET winners, but we'll touch more on that later and introduce those guests. I'm going to talk about the event format a little bit. So we've got two mini games that we're going to be playing first off. That's going to be Rumble and Snow Day. So if you've always wanted to see some RLCS pros play some of these fun casual game modes, today is the day to do it. And then later on in the stream, we'll have some best of 3 matches in a 2v2 style where we're going to mix up the teams between G2 and our AET winners, and they'll be duking it out in those series. So, Jen, I think we're going to have a lot of fun here watching Rocket League today.
Yeah, like the stakes are low, and this is all about having fun. The fact that we have this warm-up kind of mini game, I especially love Snow Day. My inner Canadian just starts screaming out. I get to kind of cast this hockey stuff. Then we get into the sweaty matches later, and we kind of talked to our players earlier about kind of that honor of getting to play alongside these G2 players, trying to rise up to that potential, getting to see how they measure up either with or against. Is going to be a really fun day.
And I like kind of there's our star-studded cast there. Of course, you've got Ujesh from Logitech G, Steve from AbleGamers, then you've got our AET winners in Solitude and Dizzble, and then rounding out our cast is G2, Chicago, and Atomic, getting laser focused in for our Rumble and Snow Day matches. You love to see it. Any predictions right off the top? I know you're entrenched in kind of the RLCS Rocket League scene. Have you ever seen these players duke it out in Snow Day or Rumble before, I guess is my question.
No, not really.
Neither have I,
No, but you guys were telling me all about how good Dizzble was and how correct he is at the game. So I really am looking forward to seeing that, because you were showing me some highlights, and I was like, this kid has talent, and I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, I'll throw out the warning to G2 right now. Dizzble said he's going to get clips on you guys, so it's going to be fun. But before we get into the competitive side, we've of course got to set up those fun casual game modes and introduce 2 of our guests. Of course, bringing them on to kind of talk a little bit both about AET and maybe banter and smack talk just a little bit as well. We've got Ujesh and Steve joining us here. Ujesh and Steve, how are you two doing today?
I'm doing great. I mean, I do have one question. The one thing I do love is that you use my LinkedIn picture in the top, so that's really nice. And then you must use Steve's LinkedIn picture because he's wearing a tie, and I don't think I've ever seen Steve wear a tie in the entire time I've known him. So
we knew
quite nice.
we knew the smack talk would be a little bit less than professional, so we wanted to balance it out with the professional-looking LinkedIn photos, of course. But to jump in, ask you guys a few questions here before we pit you two against each other. Ujesh, I'll start off with you. Just for any people who might be tuning into an Adaptive Esports tournament event here for the first time, what was kind of the catalyst, or what brought about the creation of these Adaptive Esports tournaments?
It's actually, ironically, now it's kind of funny that I mentioned my LinkedIn photo, because the way it started was via LinkedIn. So Daniel Gale, who runs Adaptive Action Sports, he pinged me on LinkedIn, and he said, hey, there's a bunch of my athletes, snowboarders that are also gamers, and they want to know, is there such a thing as a professional esports league that they could participate in? And I said, actually, I don't think there is. And then he pinged me and he said, well, do you want to start one? And I said, that's a really great idea. I said, let me call up some friends of mine. So I called Dr. David Petrino from Mount Sinai, And then I called Steve from AbleGamers and I said, hey guys, what do you think? Should we kind of get together and see if we can put this on? And we did, and then the rest is history. It just kind of started and snowballed from there.
Awesome. And then, Jen, I'll let you, I know you've got some
Yeah.
questions for Steve, too, because we were talking a little bit off camera, but I'll let you kind of ask the hard-hitting questions yourself here.
I'm just glad that, you guys all got together for this amazing initiative and there's great ideas. Steve, where do you see the future of AET? Because we're in the now, but what do you got planned?
In a lot of ways, it looks forward. We got to look back, right? And part of this was when Ujesh brought us all together as this big Voltron of charities and corporations. We decided that we really needed to build an on-ramp. Right now, there is no path to success to having someone with a disability go from a casual player who just wants to get into the pros to actually getting into the leagues. A lot of the controllers are banned. A lot of the technology that we need to use to get into these games is not allowed in tournaments, or you have to figure out how to get around those bans and walk the letter of the law just to use your own controllers. And so having this as an invitational, having it be a tournament, gives people a chance to get into esports, to use that as a career, to really build their own futures. And that's really what we're all here about. We're talking about casual, fun gameplay, but it's actually more or less so that we can have young people coming up and learning how to destroy each other to build careers and fame and end up on desks like y'all.
Now, perfect. And speaking of destroying each other, Ujesh, I know you've been practicing a little bit of Rocket League, but how do you feel about going up live on broadcast about against these caliber of players?
Not very good. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a very good player. I'm a casual player. That said, I told the story of how the Adaptive Esports, how the tournament all came together, but I didn't tell you the kind of the real truth. And I should say that right now. The real reason I wanted to put together this tournament is so that I could kick Steve's butt. So that is kind of my main goal. And I'm hoping tonight is the night that I get the opportunity to kind of put Steve in his place, because he talks a lot of smack all the time. So that's my hope.
Steve, you can't let him do it to you. Steve, what is the clapback? What is the response to you, Jesh? How do you think the match is gonna go?
Oh, I'm a dirty player. I don't ever fly alone. I'm like a mighty duck. I brought my own Ujeshes that are paid to go up against the big man. We're together with the power of teamwork. We're gonna mighty duck this son of a gun and destroy his tournament in front of his very eyes.
He's such a troll.
Just cloned.
He's formed his own flying V there in true Mighty Duck fashion. Well, yes. Gentlemen, I appreciate the words. I appreciate the banter, but we're gonna have to pull this back and we're gonna have to settle it in game from this point on. I think we're beyond words at this point, but I know
I'm beyond words.
we've all been left speechless here. So thank you two for joining us. We're gonna throw it to a brief little commercial break while we set up these matches, but I think we're in for an exciting a little match between these two, and I mean, well, I'll see if I have a job come next week, depending on how this match goes. It's going to be tough stuff between these two. I mean, absolutely cutthroat competitors.
You gotta clone yourself to win. That is great smack talk already for our mini games. I'm really excited.
The bar has been set, so we will throw it to that brief commercial break, and we'll be back with some Rocket League casual matches. Stay tuned. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with the AET Invitational. Jen, we listened to some pretty serious smack talk back and forth between Ujesh and Steve. We're going to be jumping into our first match, which is going to be hockey, which sounds like it might be your forte. You were mentioning maple syrup earlier, hockey next, so...
We have the whole Canadian environment. We might as well just uproot right to Canada.
Send up the maple flags
I don't know why
on the
we're in
back
Vegas.
LED. Right.
Like, let's go there and have a whole hockey tournament.
We've clearly got a theme, and I can't believe we didn't recognize it off the start. But
it's cold in here too, so I know you have the theme.
It's all coming together. Just we're setting the stage. It's very immersive here today, jumping into our game 1 of hockey. And I'm really excited to see these two teams duke it out. Not only because we got that amazing smack talk and banter, but because we're going to have, you know, 2 G2 players playing hockey as well, and then our AET champions playing hockey. So it's going to be a bit of a grab bag. I'm not exactly sure what to expect, but
yeah.
I know if anything, Ujesh and Steve are going to be bringing that intensity out there on the ice.
So doesn't Ujesh maybe have some employees you told about to come watch the stream?
So we do have the webcams up, so we're going to know if it's him playing or not. We are going to be able to spot check that. There's not going to be any ringers subbing in.
But he's got employees watching him play. So you can't live that down if you don't do well in hockey.
It could be. It is a risk, and we love him for that. He's willing to put himself out there, and now we're going to see how it all shakes out. We've got the stars aligned there with the team names, and the face-off is now underway. Blue team is going to be Ujesh, Chicago, and Solitude playing together. Orange team going to be Steve, Atomic, and Dizzble. Bit even. Blue team out to an early lead here, trying to clear this one away. It's a bit close. Looks like Atomic is going to be getting a nice clear.
All right, Atomic. It's the puck is, not shaped like a ball, fun fact, so it is a bit different to hit, and it has some different physics, but we'll say Team Blue, Ujesh, Chicago on the attack, but Atomic's just been all over this puck. See if he can get this out, because there is some pressure coming in from the blue team, but surprisingly no goals yet.
Yeah, everyone kind of taking it a bit slow. I will say it's a bit respectful out there, even between these two teams, just based on the amount of trash talk we heard. I expected a few demolitions, but it's Atomic up off the top. He's going to be scoring a goal first for the orange team.
And Atomic's been all over this puck, like, this entire game, like, off the top. Look at the mechanics, the fact that he even flicks it down from the ceiling. And that's a tough angle for the defenders to ever get. I guess I'll stick to Team Ujesh, Team Steve, until maybe they'll decide their team names for the next Invitational, but that's a good start for them.
Yeah, looking good for Team Steve. We see on board with Chicago, going to be trying to back up his teammate in Solitude there, but it's Atomic playing some good defense, trying to slow down that puck. Looks like Ujesh sliding through, trying to get that steal. It's out in front of the net, thankfully being cleared away as Atomic looks to go on the offense yet again.
The boys that have G2 in their name, they are scary. And I think that's why Atomic has to shine real bright for Team Steve and has been doing just that. Now the puck in the hands of Team Steve, but meeting halfway is at 50 down in the midfield. And it's all chaos. I think Steve's leading that charge. Atomic wants a good touch, but the puck is flatter, so it's tough to kind of get some air on it.
Right.
But they're really fighting hard for it.
Here comes Steve in possession of that puck, tries to wrap it around to get that clear, but it's Dizzble, one of our AET champions, coming through, trying to get that offense started. It's a 3-man play on the puck now for Team Ujesh, but it's going to be Dizzble sneaking his way in to secure that steal. Here we have Ujesh trying to battle his way around this puck, get that clear, but Steve is going to swipe in. Tries to connect, set up some offense, but it's a reset here at that midfield line. Both teams battling it out. Ujesh with some good contact, but Steve yet again steals the puck away from Ujesh, tries to get things started for that orange team. There you have Solitude in front of the goal. The shot on net going to be saved by Chicago. So we have him transitioning away, but the teammate in Atomic going to predict that one. Looks to be all even here as we're under halfway played.
That was good effort from Dizzble, and I have mad respect to someone who has TTV in their name. That's when you're trying to get more supporters, so when you start popping off in game, you get more viewers, and Dizzble had a really good attack on the net. There's just so many cooks in the kitchen when it comes to in front of the net. Speaking of which, the pressure was almost there from Ujesh to get that tying goal. We're in the second half, and Dizzble will miss that challenge, and now you have this 3-on-2 for Team Ujesh to get anything done.
Yeah. So we have Steve on board with him. Just a hawk on this puck right now. Is going to find this angle wide outright, playing it into that blue corner, but it's a nice little clear. Ooh. Atomic trying to double back on that one, but it's going to stay in the blue half. A nice little touch, but Solitude and is up for it with a nice save.
Surprisingly, Team Steve just haven't gotten anything yet. Shot after shot. Dizzble was there. Chicago is trying to clear through, and Atomic just gets shoved into a locker. It's all up to Chicago. Good save, and Atomic's going to turn it on its head. Person with the stars in their name in the net. I'll have to check that, but up and above, Atomic scores, and Team Steve are up by 2.
Yeah, Atomic with a really nice play here. You see that air control, getting this one off the backboard into the net, carries it in himself. And that's going to set Steve up 2 goals with just over a minute left to play. Team Ujesh is going to have to dig deep and battle back here. The clock is starting to go against them. Dizzble yet again having possession of the puck. Going to drop down at that midfield line. Solitude comes in looking for a pass over to a teammate. Going to send this one at the net, but it's up. Solitude up for it as well. Atomic in the net, however, is going to be able to secure that save.
Yeah, great touches from Team Ujesh, and the fact you're reading that rebound as it comes down from the ceiling, you're taking shots, but still nothing surprisingly. I thought Team Ujesh should put on a lot of good effort. 30 seconds remaining. You want to block this next one. 2 goals is possible, but not likely. It's Demos? And Snow Day was not expecting that kind of physicality.
The power play being set up in Snow Day here. Chicago now up off the ceiling, looking to knock this one down, get some offense started. As the clock is dwindling, 5 seconds yet to play. Atomic does have possession. Chicago gonna be getting the save, but as soon as this puck touches down, it is gonna be Team Steve winning the first match and taking that victory.
Yeah, Dizzble doing the flips on the celebration screen. Atomic and Steve have been great. It's felt like the Atomic show. Whenever he had the puck, he had all the goals, but tons of support coming from his team. Steve definitely let off those offenses a lot. Dizzble put in the pressure when he was in the box. And surprisingly, Team Steve on the other team, Team Ujesh, they had a lot of potential, and I'm actually surprised that that was 0 goals at the end of the day.
Yeah, even looking at the shot attempts at that final scoreboard, it was pretty much even. Team Steve only had 1 extra shot, but they managed to at least connect those. So the accuracy is really what came into effect there, and some great defense that we did see coming out of Team Steve as well. But I will give it up. I thought, you know, Team Ujesh did put up a fight. It could have been a lot uglier with just how much, you know, trash talk Steve was talking. I was expecting maybe a bigger blowout, but maybe he was taking it easy on him in that first game. Maybe he didn't want to embarrass him too bad, but just wanted to let him know kind of who the king of Rocket League was.
The person with the stars ended up being Ujesh, and, you know, where's Waldo of, okay, who's missing here? And Ujesh was in the net. I think there was just so much creativity from the Atomic side of things to use the ceiling, go up and above, so you're looking up, and it's a tough angle to try and save because you have to pre-jump and you have to cover that. We go into our second game of Rumble. Yeah,
going to be going into Rumble here, and if this ends in a tie in a 1-1 series, then we're just going to have to set up really another invitational so that Ujesh and Steve can settle this score, have that tiebreaker match. But to see if that's the case, you've got Ujesh in that DeLorean on the hunt for the ball right now, and that's going to be frozen in midair. Some warping going around, kind of the Mario Party style mode here. A lot to expect, try to prepare for, but it's really a mode where anything can happen. We'll have to see. Maybe that, you know, chaos is where Ujesh's team can find their victory. On board with Atomic, the 2-goal scorer in our Snow Day mode. Going to be sending this one into the blue corner. It's going to be Solitude trying to get the nice little clear, and he's got the tornado warping that ball around, but Atomic with the grappling hook, but it sets up the freeze as the shot attempt from Chicago will be stopped in its tracks by Atomic. Chicago with the intercept yet again off the sidewall, trying to make something happen. 2 players up, but that one is going to sneak in and find the net as Team Ujesh strikes first.
Just so many good uses of the power-ups, and before that play, like the freeze, just to stop that, just stop the speed of the ball, to slow down the play. And here, it was just more of the timing of the pre-jumps from the defense, where they landed on the ground, the ball was above them, and trying to predict and know how to move based on your opponent is the whole part of Rocket League that separates the amateurs from the pros. But the fact that Ujesh could make a comeback, how does Chicago not get that second touch? The crossbar had it coming.
Here's Solitude. He's got the spikes out, going to be able to secure that one. Team with the tornado as well. So here we have Steve. He's going to be trying to keep this offense alive for the orange team. G2 Atomic up for it, has the grapple on that ball. Going to be able to clear this one downfield.
Ooh,
might even
easy.
have the second touch, but the freeze going to come into effect to deny that goal, the tying goal as well. Team Ujesh going to be thanking their lucky stars for that freeze, but here's Dizzble up for this one, but going to be stalled out. Atomic is in that opposite corner, but the demo from the teammate going to be taking Atomic out, in Chicago yet again going to be securing the goal. It's an exact opposite of what we saw in our first game. Now Ujesh with the 2-0 lead.
I like this leash. That's my favorite power-up right there. No think. Just bring ball. Walk it in like a dog. But that freeze in the last play was the biggest Rumble play I have ever seen. The way we went from Team Steve dominating to Team Ujesh have found their forte, and it's the power-ups, which, depending on which ones you have, can completely nullify a play like you saw at the freeze, or just make Rocket League that much easier. But Team Steve are not out of this yet. Atomic will keep them in.
Yeah, great little warp play as well coming through from Dizzble. You see him setting that one up, is on the opposite side where he's even that insurance policy if he needs to go up for that ball as well. But his teammate in Atomic was able to secure that goal and shore it up. You can see the focus here. Steve also, we might have to check the ruling. This is technically a 5v3 if you count Steve's 2 extra teammates, but on board with Solitude. He's doing a great job back on defense, setting up his teammates. Chicago also with that rope, going to be now flicking this one downrange, orange side of the pitch. Solitude up for that one. Chicago looking for the wrap back around, but Atomic going to be able to warp to this ball. Nice little clear going to be coming through for Team Ujesh, and Team Steve has to hustle back on defense. Chicago with a crazy angle. Going to be able to secure that one and get the lead back to 2.
With an absolute laser, as we would say in other games. Like, that came in with a lot of power. 85 miles per hour. And I'm sure Atomic would know how to pre-jump this in the RLCS, but not when it comes to that much speed. I mean, the power-ups and the usage, the efficiencies of the power-ups has been what makes Rumble so fun to watch, and maybe a flip reset for Dizzble. And I've been waiting to see his mechanics, and he's only given me an appetizer, but I need 2 more goals from you.
Yeah, Dizzble with some nice plays there, but those power weapons always being that X factor. Tornado going to be carrying this one to the midfield line as Atomic continues to apply the pressure to Team Ujesh, but here we see the leash being used to its fullest potential, and Solitude going to be able to walk the dog right into the net.
I love this leash. Like, he's getting challenged multiple times, and he doesn't care where his car is. He just has to worry about dodging the other players, and the ball will follow in suit. So it makes navigating that midfield that much easier. And Team Ujesh have found their key to victory. Get the right power-ups, get the person who has whatever the leash is, whoever is going after the ball, use that. And the freezes on the defense have been really good too, and at least the leash is being used defensively here from Team Steve.
I love that out of Atomic. You can almost tell he's not used to the ball kind of orbiting him in that way. He was trying to set it up to get the flip to knock the ball downfield, but here we have the freeze right at the midfield line. Steve is circling this one like a hawk, trying to get his team back into the game. Now we have the ball in the hands of Dizzble, always a threat, but there's a nice steal from Chicago. Going to be keeping this one on the orange side of the pitch. Ball is up off the backboard, and the boot going to be clearing that blue player downfield. Ball in front, but Chicago has an amazing save from that shot by Dizzble.
Team Steve needed that goal so bad, though, and I gotta say, Team Ujesh brought out the gloves too, went on the demo on Steve, and there was a good push from Team Ujesh, but there is the goal that Team Steve needed, 38 seconds, and down by 2, and it starts with Dizzble, beats the challenge, sets up Atomic, and goes for the bump, or at least the fake, to get that defender out of the net. So beautiful teamwork from Team Steve.
And you can see that they are a well-oiled machine when the power-ups are not in play. They have the pass plays and setups going for them, but it's always that X factor that Team Ujesh has been utilizing too. And there's the demo on to Steve, maybe sending a message here, but have to be careful. Still just over 20 seconds left to play, and I know Team Steve going to be gunning for this victory. They just need the 2 goals, but Chicago putting up a great fight there in the paint. Ujesh just going for demos. A double demo coming out from Ujesh. He's found his play style here in the end of this Rumble match. Ujesh just causing an absolute scrapyard out there this game.
Team Ujesh takes this, and I saw the big grin that he had on his face every time he demoed someone. He's looking off to the, I don't know if he can see the other team, but at least he's looking at somebody for approval of, did I do good? Because I know he was putting the grind in to make sure he was ready for this game, and then he's like, well, if I can't serve on the defense and I can't serve on the offense, I can serve some pain, and I'm going to go and demo everybody. And I thought they were going to get more goals out of that, but a win's a win.
A win is a win, and if anything, it secured the victory. At least it didn't extend it, because we had 2-goal victories on either side. So all this means for me is that this rivalry doesn't end. It is right where we left
just begun.
It has absolutely. It has just begun between Team Steve and Team Ujesh. But those were 2 really fun matches, and I know we're going to speak to G2 in a little bit. I want to get their thoughts on those game modes, because you could kind of see like their muscle memory. They had to fight against it, right? Yeah. Especially when dealing with like the puck or when the leash is involved. They kind of had to second guess that natural reaction that they had to the ball. So it's going to be fun to talk to them, but I don't know if I'm happy or sad that the rivalry is still burning as bright as ever. They both, finished with a win, which is great. And I think we'll have to bring them back in later. Maybe they'll have to announce something or talk about something to where we can just settle this once and for all. But that's going to be our fun casual modes for the day. We're going to throw it to a brief commercial break, and we'll be back with those competitive 2v2 matches between G2 and our AET winners. So don't go anywhere. right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our AET Invitational. I'm Frank, and with me on the desk is Jen. Jen, I got to know, what did you think of those two casual matches we just saw between these two teams?
That was really fun. I enjoyed that. And it wasn't like a smackdown, like 7-0.
Right.
It was pretty fair. And the fact that both teams kind of had their strengths on each game mode was really cool. And the fact that even Ujesh got out there with the demos, that was my favorite part. I think.
Yeah, he figured out his game plan and he started executing. It was definitely fun to see. But we also have our two members of G2, Chicago and Atomic, going to be joining us here for a brief little interview. And, after watching those two game modes, I'm going to start off asking Chicago, I don't know how much Rumble you play, but you looked pretty solid out there. Are you a seasoned vet when it comes to Rumble, or did you have a game plan going into that matchup?
I definitely had to get mentally prepared for Rumble. Lock in because my team lost the game before that, so we needed to get a win back. So I was definitely prepared mentally before the game. Had my strats written down so we could get the dub and go even. Yeah,
definitely could tell. It was definitely some note taking and note reading during that match. I could see it. It paid off for you guys.
All the power ups are so fun to watch on Rumble. But Atomic, you really popped off on Snow Day. Like, you had all the goals. You helped the team win. Tell me about your experience. You play a lot of Snow Day?
No, actually, none of us had played Snow Day before this, to be honest, but we kind of just showed up and we came in confident, so I feel like that's why we won.
Nice.
Were the physics kind of weird, or like how much did you have to reset your Rocket League brain dealing with a puck or with the physics and everything?
I don't think you can get like a flip reset on a puck, so I was like trying, but it just would not work, so yeah, it was definitely different. You have to like catch it like you're actually playing hockey.
Awesome. Well, yeah, you definitely could tell a couple moments, like the muscle memory wasn't quite working with the way the physics was supposed to, but it was definitely fun seeing you guys in that more fun, sort of casual setting. But I know you guys have some big matches coming up. Chicago, where can people kind of see you during this next major? What should people be on the lookout for G2?
Yeah, so G2 Rocket League just actually qualified for the San Diego RLCS major, the winter major to be exact. So in about exactly 1 month from now, April 5th, I believe the start date is, twitch.tv/Rocket League, G2 will be in San Diego to compete against a bunch of international teams from Europe, Saudi Arabia, OCE, APAC, South America. So yeah, there'll be a big international competition, and we just qualified this past weekend to represent NA, to be one of the few NA teams to go. So we're looking to do well and go back to getting on top of the Rocket League scene.
Okay, Atomic, you got to sell us on G2. Tell me, how is G2 going to win the major? Hype us up, sell us.
I think G2 is going to win because we won there last year, We're coming in extremely confident, and we've just been getting better these past couple of weeks, so, we're excited. Or should I join the team?
I can feel the excitement. I know you're focused for some more Snow Day. At least it's a good warm up for the major.
And I know too that when you guys are successful, I'm sure Ujesh and Steve will take all the credit in warming you guys up and preparing you for that with your Rumble and Snow Day matches. So I want to thank you guys for joining us here for the brief interview. I know you've got a 2v2 coming up that we're going to watch on stream, so I'll let you guys get in the mind set for that. But love it, Chicago. The note taker, if you will. Just always prepared. A studious boy, if you will.
You have to be. You got to study the competition. You got to study what's wrong with yourself, too, because that's the player mindset, not just studying how much people suck on the other teams, but what can you do better?
Yeah.
And I could tell he's a focused, calm, collected kind of individual, even though we're having a fun day.
Yeah.
And I could tell that they're in the major.
They're kind of like,
they're thinking about San Diego right now.
Right, totally. They're definitely kind of ready to go to that major, so that's going to be fun to check them out there as well. But of course, the upcoming series that we have is going to be 2 best-of-3s in that 2v2 AET style. And just in case you guys missed the top of the show, it is going to be kind of teams are split. So it's going to be one member of G2 paired up with one of our AET winners, and then they'll be going off in that 2v2, and then we'll swap the teams around and have another battle back and forth. So excited to watch that one. Definitely still kind of coming down off the Snow Day and Rumble matches. Yeah, that was just the warm-up, if you will. So definitely excited to see Dizzble, because we saw some of the flip resets and the mechanical plays he was going for, but those power-ups kind of stopping his action in its tracks. But here it's just back to standard Rocket League. All the typical rules apply, no surprises in store, but it looks like we are loading up into this one, and we'll have our team names up on screen in just a second as these players load in. Tough to predict, because even going based off of those casual matches, those fun matches we saw, felt pretty even between those players, and they're going to be on opposite sides yet again. We'll have Chicago and Solitude teaming up for our first match, and Atomic and Dizzble as we get ready to go into our kickoff.
And I mean, Dizzble said to us before the show started how kind of important this moment is for him, not just because, yeah, he's a huge fan of G2 and gets to play alongside, like, who can say they played alongside a pro RLCS player, but he has big dreams of his own, like big endeavors for his career, and good save from Chicago just then. And Dizzble gets to kind of see, well, am I just as good? Do I have a long way to go? And watching Chicago score, I'm taking notes too.
We can all learn something watching this caliber of play. Up there you see Dizzble just a millimeter off of getting that touch to send that shot off target, but Chicago has the speed to slip that one by, so they'll be up 1-0 here right off the rip. Solitude getting a nice little touch. Dizzble going to back that trunk up to get it into the hands of Atomic, who's going off in the 1v1 against the teammate in Chicago, and it's kind of how I expect it to go. You expect these two players to know each other's ins and outs pretty well, so an even matchup there between Atomic and Chicago. Ball now in the hands of Dizzble. He's going to be clearing this one off the backboard, tries to wrap around, get that shot attempt, but going to have the play stall out, go back for some boost.
We should have stirred the pot a lot more in our interview between Atomic and Chicago, and just see, like, when you have to face off against your teammate, which is obviously not that often, are they going to talk about it in scrims afterwards? But for now, we have to decide who's the better teammate. Who would get dropped first from G2 if there's a problem here?
We don't want to set that kind of discourse in there before their major, Jen. Let's not cause some strife.
They were confident to win, and Dizzble gets to at least score with the G2 members in the game. That must feel good for him.
Dizzble looking real good here with this carry. Chicago tries to get under it, but you see Atomic with that bump to secure that goal. It's going to tie us up at ones between these two teams.
That control was beautiful from Dizzble. The way that he was flipping his car in the air, and then that the ball landed on the side so he can go towards the net while also blocking any defenders that could be coming his way. So Dizzble had beautiful control of that ball. And Chicago's out for now. 3-on-2 for Team Atomic, as they're still trying to transition down the midfield, but no one had possession of the ball, so Chicago kicks things off. He demos Dizzble. A 3-on-2 for Team Chicago, but ball possession wasn't all there.
Yeah, not really able to develop much of an offensive play off that demo, but does slow down the opposing team for just a bit. Here's Solitude up for one, the heater right at the net, but he's got the insurance policy coming through to secure that goal. Great shot from Solitude.
I thought that was a really cool attempt from Atomic, and Dizzble was, in a 2v2, you're not saving that. Just the fact that Atomic made that look close was impressive to me, because that ball came in with a lot of speed. And it's only a 1-goal lead for Team Chicago, but not the touch that they wanted. They gifted that to Atomic.
Yeah, tough break here. You see this ball going up. Atomic able to slide. This one is Chicago still recovering from that first aerial play he attempted. It's going to keep this one close, tied up at 2s. So these teams continue to battle back and forth. Kickoff going to go just about neutral. Dizzble is up off the sidewall, going for another aerial carry. His teammate Solitude up for it, tries to deny it. The cheeky little twist coming through from Dizzble.
Oh, you hit the flip reset in front of Chicago like that. Almost broke his ankles, his axles, and everything. Dizzble is looking for clips. Great control, reset potential, got challenged there, loses the ball only momentarily. Atomic's by his side. In the 2v2, though, you don't have that third man back. That is your insurance if the offense were to turn the other way. So keep an eye on this. As we enter the second half, we have a tie score.
Yeah, there is a lot of risk reward in that 2s format, because like you mentioned, you either have to commit to that offense or hustle back on defense, and so far it's been pretty even from both of these teams. From Solitude trying to make something happen, but one's going to be cleared into the blue corner. Chicago now rotating back, going to bump Atomic. Atomic going to get the demo onto Solitude. It's going to leave the ball in the hands of Dizzble yet again. Trying to get this one past Chicago, but Chicago going to win that 50. Atomic going to come through, however, with that demo. Solitude just barely miscalculating, and that leads to Atomic scoring another goal.
I'm just becoming an Atomic #1 fan. That demo was huge to stop that breakaway from Team Chicago, and then to turn around and score on them, like, bow down. Atomic's on fire today.
Making the plays. Things are looking good for that San Diego Major if Atomic can keep up this level of play. Here we have Chicago now trying to make it a show of his own. Going to be challenged by Atomic. This one's going to slow down in that orange corner as Atomic goes for another flip. Going to let this one die down. Chicago now on the breakaway in front of the orange net, but Atomic going to come through, able to demo Chicago. Chicago's shot going to be saved by Atomic as the battle continues back and forth here. Atomic going to go for the clear. Ball now into the hands of Dizzble. He's up for it. Solitude is up with a great challenge, able to knock that one away.
And Dizzble has been going for these resets, looking for the style points. I am down for it. And Atomic has had very critical demos to stop Team Chicago from scoring right before it happens. And a good redirect from Chicago to put that ball into the corner. Dizzble has control. To slow down the ball, though, is a difficult thing to do, so it'll be back and forth until they can be concise with this. Atomic to Dizzble, and couldn't redirect it towards the net, but if you take some boosts away, Team Chicago might be stuck in this end.
Yep, slowing him down just a bit. Ooh, Dizzble going for a crazy angle, almost gets it, but thankfully Chicago is there for the save. Just 33 seconds remaining. Atomic on a knife's edge lead of just 1 goal. Chicago, they hit this one up towards the ceiling, but now Atomic is up for it. Chicago, no boost, has to hustle for this corner. Thankfully is able to rotate in time. Now he has possession. It is up. Dizzble, does he have the challenge? Is able to get the touch, but the teammate in Solitude, but it's another huge save from Atomic.
Failed double tap from Chicago turns into almost a sick rebound play from Team Chicago, and they're bringing it right back. Couple more seconds for the tie goal. It's shut down, but as long as the ball is in the air, they can keep going. But it flips past Chicago, and Atomic is keeping the play going for some reason. They just need to drop it in order to win. Try to get some resets on them, but eventually Team Atomic take game #1.
Yep, they're going to take it in style, too. Looking good out there on the pitch. Atomic really kind of being that backbone. Dizzble always going for those flip resets, trying to hit those clips. You love to see it. But Solitude in Chicago also playing, really solid as well. Just barely unable to squeak out that final goal where I believe it was Atomic had that stellar save at the very end.
Just Atomic had so many good demos that every time Chicago was trying to score at him, he demos them. And I bet Chicago's like, you're going to hear about this in scrims. I'm tired of you. Respect the 2v2.
Right. And he's like, thank God he's on my team. Right? At least
Can't do
after
that
today.
to me.
Right. After today, he doesn't have to worry about being demoed anymore by his own teammate. But super close. Again, this is going to be a best of 3, so a little different from just the straight up matches we played earlier. So Atomic and Dizzble going to be leading. If they do take this next one, they'll be the winner of this series, and then we'll shuffle up the teams, throw it to a brief commercial break, and be back with another best of 3. But that's, of course, looking ahead as we get ready for this next matchup.
That was close, though.
Really close. That's what I was going to say. Is there any changes, really, Solitude and Chicago need to make? Nothing really comes to mind. It was just
them back.
a couple of
after them.
outplays. Yeah, them getting that offensive advantage off the back of those demos might be the only thing they need to kind of match style with in the hands of Atomic and Dizzble.
That was, there was really good synergy between Atomic and Dizzble. The way they were passing, and I think there was that last 4 seconds where Team Chicago got so close to tying it and sending us into overtime. Like, the script writes itself when it comes to the content that we got here on Logitech G. But we'll see if Team Chicago, now that they're warmed up, they're ready to go. They know that a Team Atomic are a physical team. Can they pay that respect right back? So far, it's Team Atomic on an offense, sending it to the backboard. Chicago has had great touches towards the corner to not set up the other team for success.
Yep, here he goes, continuing to carry this one in front of the orange net. It's an overcommit on that defense coming through. So it's going to be Chicago and Solitude connecting with the net first to take the early 1-goal lead.
Atomic looks like he's having fun too. He didn't smile in the interview. He's smiling playing. I know where his priorities are.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He just likes playing Rocket League.
He wants to talk to Dizzble. I'd want to talk to Dizzble too. He sounds like a fun guy.
Dizzble going for all these flip resets. He's probably like, dang, you going for those right now? Impressed with the skills, but here we have Atomic carrying this one towards that blue side. Looks like it's going to be Solitude. A decent little clear, but Atomic is right on that midfield line with the intercept. Dizzble has to hustle back now. A little bit of a dicey scenario. He's got to chase that one into his own side of the field, but transitioning that one right into the aerial play. But his teammate now going up for the challenge. Solitude going to get that clear. This one's going to drop down. Atomic getting a little bit of a chip shot, trying to set up Dizzble with that pass play. It's going to be Chicago now on the offensive. Dizzble off the backboard with the save, and Atomic with another demo on to Chicago. Thankfully, Solitude up in front with that challenge, going to slow down the orange team's offense.
Yeah, Team Atomic have gone for a lot of demos, kind of staggering out Chicago and Solitude, and not let this developed into any kind of threatening offense, but it's more messing up their structure and trying to figure out how to stabilize from this point. Now Team Atomic have the midfield control. Here comes Chicago up and above. Dizzble, great reads, meeting him halfway. 50 right down to Atomic. That lands towards the net, and Team Chicago can't get there in time.
Yeah, great little challenge from Dizzble, kind of the catalyst for that play, able to drop that one down. And Atomic is there, realizing both members of the blue team just pulled too far out of the net, so able to connect, tie us up at ones. We have into the next kickoff, going to be favoring Team Atomic. Let's see if Dizzble's on the wrap here. Atomic not liking the setup, so he's going to back this one up. Look for a clear. Solitude down on that midfield, able to sneak that one under him, but shot attempt going to just go wide of the net. We have Chicago with possession. Be challenged by Dizzble. Cleared away into the blue side pitch. Chicago wrapping back on defense. Ooh. Solitude, the flip reset, gets it by one, but thankfully Chicago had hustled back on D.
You're seeing the hesitation from Team Chicago when Dizzble is dribbling the ball in the air. They're not sure if he has a reset, and you always pull back to make sure you're guaranteed that read, because he's going to activate that flip reset once he knows you've made the move first. And Dizzble is now have to use even more creativity and mechanics than he already has, as the Team Atomic pressure has started to settle in on the front. Solitude looking for clears. It's not going to happen. Midfield for Team Atomic. They're going through the right side, using the wall, wanting that second touch. Atomic doesn't get it. Dizzble misses it, but he can go for bumps in the net to quite literally create the gap that they need. But for now, we're still left with a 1-1 score, 2 minutes left.
Yeah, what's impressing me the most is Atomic and Dizzble really gelling together, setting up some of these passing plays, wrapping around to cover each other's shots. They really kind of locked in the teamwork, and Chicago and Solitude not far behind. We see some great clears, defensive plays coming through from Solitude, and Chicago really getting things started on the offensive. Has his teammate under net, and he says, I'm going to sneak that one by you.
Chicago's like, I can't believe you flip reset on me. Like, there's the wheels touching and the second boost. Atomic with the free jump, and Chicago, beautiful redirect towards the left side in the opposite way that Atomic was coming. And Chicago gets his style points too. That was pretty sick.
And Atomic's going, so that's what that feels like.
Yeah, oh, okay.
Glad he's on my team, yeah. Great little play there. Another shot attempt from Dizzble, gonna unfortunately be denied by the crossbar. Chicago has possession up in the air for it, but a great touch from Atomic, going to get some orange offense started until that's neutralized yet again by this blue team. Now you have Chicago trying to set up Solitude. The beautiful passing play.
Jinx. we both thought it was
sync.
Great.
We're in sync. Everyone's in sync right now, and that shot is sunk right in the middle of the net to give Chicago and Solitude the 2-goal lead.
I'm loving the connections we're seeing between Solitude and Chicago. We needed to see more of that. And Solitude gets his moment in the spotlight. Their whole team does. 3-1 with 1 minute left. The reset. Atomic picks up the phone and answers.
I was gonna say, just when things were looking a bit grim for Atomic and Dizzble in this game, it's Atomic.
Reset off the ceiling. That's disgusting.
Just really gross. I feel unwell. A bit nauseated by how sick that play was. But it's leading to an exciting match here as we have 1 minute left to play. Can Atomic and Dizzble find the tying goal? Can Chicago and Solitude stall this one out and tie up the series? We will have to see for the time being. Dizzble with possession, possibly looking for the passing play, but it's Solitude able to sneak under, get that clear, reset that offense. Dizzble gonna hustle back for this one, win the challenge against Atomic, win the challenge against Solitude. Thankfully, Chicago able to hustle back and get on that defensive rotation. That might be the ceiling goal, but Atomic was there to challenge. Gets this one sent on corner. Is the save there? He thankfully is able to tap that one up just enough to get it out of net. But Dizzble says he is not done yet. Makes it by one defender. Gets this little sneaky play over and is it in? It rolls right in front of the net. And that one is going to be saved by the blue team.
The attempt at the flip reset into the ground pinch. Dizzble brought the Bible of Rocket League moves today. And the fact that we were only 1 goal down, Team Chicago will take game 2. That was close.
That little kind of pinch was so just a millimeter off. And I don't even know if Atomic expected it. It almost looked, he's like, you're passing that to me? Like, starts to fumble it over, trying to get that one in, but just barely misses that tying goal. So that means the series now will be tied up between these two teams in this first best of 3. And I mean, it seems evenly matched. There's no real favorite here between these two squads.
And just, you don't feel like someone is bringing down anyone from G2. We're looking at G3. We're looking at what's the, I don't know, like an extra team that we could get from G2. Dizzble and Solitude provided so much as a supportive units. Whether, I mean, Dizzble was trying to go for flip resets, double taps, ground pinches, and the way that Solitude was always in the box waiting for the perfect pass, which was one of the goals that they got. I've been really impressed.
Yeah, they are just, I mean, they're on the same page. It's been really impressive just seeing how well they've adapted to playing with these new teammates, and I think that's really kind of telling of the caliber of Rocket League players these two are. Whether or not you think, you know, Dizzble or Solitude are the next G2 candidates, I think it's testament to their ability as Rocket League players to kind of find themselves on the same page and find that teamwork between each other. I'll tell you what, if they keep making plays like that, they might be the next G2 candidates. It's a nice little setup as Chicago is able to find the net there. Yeah,
Chicago challenges, robs, equals profit. Like, it's just, it looks easy when you watch Chicago play to score. And they've been really, Team Chicago have been really ramping up as the games have gone on, but you can't be comfortable when Atomic is still playing. He scores right after they go down.
Yeah, Atomic will sniff out that empty net and make just a play that happens in the blink of an eye. So that one tiny little opportunity off that kickoff leads to Atomic finding the tying goal already. This one also in favor of the orange team. Can he sneak this one by? Thankfully, Chicago able to get that save. See if he can set something up on offense here. A nice challenge from Dizzble. And he passed over to Atomic. Now the question is, can he set this one up for Dizzble? He's there with the cutback and a beautiful play out of Atomic and Dizzble.
Solitude shaking his head, knew when he missed the ball in the midfield and you had this breakaway from Atomic and Dizzble, it was going to be too tough to come back. Because usually in a 3v3, your third man can kind of buy some time for your offense to rotate back. But in that situation, if you fumble the bag in the midfield, the bag is gone. But Team Atomic are only up by 1, and Team Chicago have been in their shadow this whole time. There's a setup from Chicago. Atomic's following it up, though, to ensure that clear. But Team Chicago have them kind of stuck right now. If he can get up towards Dizzble, doesn't look like they would want to go for the challenge yet. Rather wait for where he lands. And Team Chicago, they got to move downfield, which seems to be difficult with Team Atomic all over you.
Yeah, it really seems like once Chicago and Solitude are able to kind of set up that defensive perimeter, it's tough for Atomic and Dizzble. But in those transitions, if Atomic and Dizzble can find that opening, they've been really deadly on transferring those into goals. So we'll have to see how that shakes out between these two teams in the final match of this best of 3. before we shuffle the teams and reset it and go again, basically. Here's Atomic, and he's sending this one to the side wall, then into the blue corner, but Chicago right there for the challenge. Going to send it right back onto the orange side, and Dizzble able to come through. Some demos coming through on either end, and it's Chicago and Solitude able to find the tying goal.
And a part of the demos is there is a smoke effect, so you get kind of lost in the sauce on what is going on. I needed to see the replay before I figured out what was going on. And demos left and right left Chicago and Solitude with a goal tying things up with 3 minutes remaining. Chicago will have the ball. Team Atomic prioritizing boost there. Back and forth we go with Team Atomic leading the offense towards the back wall there. Chicago needed the second touch to not leave it so close to the box, especially leaving Solitude to deal with this, and Atomic dominates the midfield and scores right on him.
Yeah, Atomic just doing a great job here of winning those 2 challenges. Able to get up early, and you even see Dizzble is up for the play as well, just in case Atomic wasn't able to make it to the ball. But it's a great little offensive play from Atomic and Dizzble. I'm sure Chicago and Solitude still have some gas left in the tank for us. We're just trailing by 1 goal at this point. Dizzble trying to get this one past 1 defender, and it's a beautiful play out of Atomic and Dizzble yet again.
And you see the attempt from Chicago to slow down the play. He goes for the challenge. He's getting overwhelmed by 2, and Solitude had to find the pre-jump in time, but it was just a little too late. I mean, the play was coming in with so much speed. Chicago only did so much to back them up, but that was a pain train on its way to the station. 4-2 for Team Atomic.
Yeah, well played to them. They had their heart set on a goal, and they delivered. And we'll have to see if the blue team can catch up with this 2-goal deficit they find themselves in. It's going to be Atomic and Dizzble setting up some passing plays yet again. Solitude tries to get the 50, but thankfully Chicago has his back, able to stop that one and get the save. Now at the midfield line, Atomic has to rush back, kind of flirting with death on that play, but thankfully is able to knock it up to get it off the backboard and get that clear downfield. We have Dizzble, again, slight miss just under that one, but is able to connect with the demo onto his teammate Solitude. But Chicago has a great steal, wraps it back around, and finds the goal for the blue team.
For free? Like, Chicago's chasing everyone around, dislodges the ball from the player, robs it, and I'm wondering where Team Atomic went, where maybe there was a miscommunication on whether Atomic was supposed to go for it or Dizzble, and either way, Chicago is going to punish those mistakes, and it makes it for an exciting match, because it's 4-3 for Team Atomic, and Team Chicago have always kind of kept it within 1 or 2 goals at all times.
Absolutely. It has been neck and neck between both of these teams. That great play from Chicago, going to make this one even closer. Atomic now has to wrestle for that boost just a bit, but does have Dizzble trying to back him up. See great positioning out of Chicago and Solitude, going to make this offensive play from the orange team very difficult. Atomic up for it, sets it up for Dizzble. Tries to look, tries to eye these defenders, able to get it by Solitude. Can Atomic get the chip shot in? A great play again from Atomic and Dizzble.
Great pressure. First it starts with Dizzble trying to break some ankles, at least broke one. Chicago stops the first round of attacks as the Team Atomic kept laying it down. Now 5-3. The synergy and how quickly Atomic and Dizzble can play off of each other. They must be communicating well. Atomic has a smile on his face. He's satisfied with the performance. I don't know about that touch from Team Chicago, and Chicago had to clean that up to make sure that this wasn't going to land in the box.
My favorite thing is there's literally smiles on everyone's face right now.
Yeah,
so it's not even,
nice.
At this point, it's not even about who wins this one. Everyone is having a good time out there, and we're entertained for sure by these 2 teams going at it. There's Dizzble, nice little clear, able to ride the wall on this one into the blue side. It's going to be Chicago with a monster clear right at the net, and coast to coast, that one will connect to bring us within 1.
Yeah, you're going to see these long transition type of goals in the 2v2 setup. And while Team Chicago keep themselves in, there's not really much to analyze besides you're not fast enough. And there's not really much you can do to prevent Chicago from doing that, especially off the wall. Not a lot of power, too. And So 30 seconds remaining. Team Chicago, it's winnable. It's the last game of the series before we shuffle things up. And Solitude really wants to prove himself here today. To start slowing down this ball though, Team Atomic, Dizzble's going for a shot. Good push there from Solitude out of the box. You don't want to give time or space to someone like Dizzble, who will have those threatening type of shots. Solitude wants to connect on a pass to Chicago. A couple seconds remaining. Chicago's going to put that thing in reverse, but couldn't keep the play going, so Team Atomic take the win.
Man, and a really hard-fought final goal there. You could see Chicago and Solitude just trying to fight out of that corner so they could get their offense going, but Dizzble and Atomic able to slow them down in those final seconds and secure their victory in our first best of 3. And really, from my selfish perspective, I'm just excited that we have another best of 3 with some teams shuffled out, because that was an exciting first match.
I want to see more of that series, honestly.
Yeah.
Next time, feedback. Let's make it best of 7
Just
and
more.
just have it play more, because that was really fun.
In the comment box, it just says more. That's
more
the feedback.
please. I would love to see more of that content.
Well, again, stay tuned towards the end. I don't want to say too much.
I don't want to steal any thunder,
but we definitely have more matches coming up between these 4 players. The first best of 3 is gonna go to Atomic and Dizzble, so congratulations to them. But we are gonna throw it to a brief commercial break. We're gonna shuffle up the teams, and we'll have more Rocket League action for you guys. So stay tuned. right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this AET Invitational. I'm Frank. Joining me on the desk is Jen. Jen, how are you feeling after that first best of 3 2v2 we just saw?
It's been so fun. Like, we haven't had any blowouts despite just having a variety of different skill levels and even some fun mini games. Those weren't even blowouts. We haven't had a game go, beyond 2-goal leads.
Yeah.
So I've been really entertained and impressed by the level of mechanics we saw, and I want to see more.
Well, I got good news. We will have one more best of 3 here for your viewing pleasure. But before we get into that, we've talked to everyone else here today, but we want to bring on the last season's AET winners. Dotes, that of course is Solitude and Dizzble. Welcome to the stream, you guys. So I'm going to start off with a quick question over to Solitude. What was it like playing with a member of G2? Something I never got to do, so I need to hear from you. How were the matches out there?
It was a lot of fun. It was pretty intimidating. I didn't expect to do that as well as I did, so I'm very happy.
That was really cool. Dizzble, I saw you hitting flip resets, ground pinches, trying to go for double taps. You putting the style points on while G2's watching? When are we seeing G2 Dizzble?
I don't know. I'm just trying to make a good impression and talk with the boys. And I had a blast, though. I enjoyed talking to Atomic. It was pretty fun. We came up with some conversations, and we just had fun.
That's awesome. And even from our perspective here on the desk, it doesn't look like it's like the first time you're playing with G2. Both of you guys seem really in sync. You're hitting sick passing plays. The rotations are on point. So it's been really awesome to watch. I guess my question for Solitude, you've been kind of with us since the beginning of this season on AET, and now you're here playing with a member of G2. Is there any advice or words you'd give out there to anyone who might be watching right now that wants to get involved in the Adaptive Esports tournaments?
Honestly, I would say just sign up and give it a chance. You know, even if you don't think you're the best or strongest player, there's a great community here with a bunch of cool people, and you can make some friends and everything. So I mean, definitely sign up and give it a chance.
And it's a great platform to build confidence, even if you start with not a lot of it, or even if you don't think you're that good. It's platforms like this where you can build both of those things up. And Dizzble, I mean, you got to play with Steve and Ujesh earlier. Which one would you pick up for AET next season? I want to see Coach Dizzble out here.
Who knows? I think Steve's playing pretty well. I think I might go with Steve.
Okay, nice. I could see that, and I just thought it was funny that it ended in a tie. So clearly we're going to have to do all of this again. We're going to have to run it back. So Solitude, Dizzble, thank you for joining us for this quick little interview. We'll let you guys get into the mindset of your final best of 3 here with G2. But man, yeah, that was awesome. Definitely going to have to do this again, and I'm just excited that we're still one more match here to watch today.
We got to bring on more pro teams so you can have like the AET plays with the pros or something, because it sounds like it was just an awesome experience to learn from them and even get to talk to them. And you saw Dizzble and Atomic, big smiles on their faces. They look like they enjoyed each other's company, which is sort of important for gaming.
Yeah, I think next time, since Steve and Ujesh did tie, I think the only thing that we should do is let them bring their own teams next time. See who they draft, and then really settle the score that way.
The draft process be part of the show, you know?
Absolutely.
We got ideas up here.
Those are great ideas. Somebody back there write that down.
Write
I think
that
that one's worth writing down for sure. But I'm definitely excited. We got one more best of 3 here going to be going on between these two teams. Like we kind of mentioned before, can't reiterate it enough. So even. All of these matches so close that it's really too tough to predict which way this final one's going to go.
Yeah, I'll leave my predictions on when we see what the teams end up being. It's still a 2v2?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
So it'll just be like a swap, basically. So they're going to be playing with the opposite player.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I think it's going to be pretty even because Chicago and Atomic, they're obviously at each other's throats.
Yeah.
We've seen the demos come through. They know each other like the back of their hand. And then, you know, Solitude and Dizzble each kind of fill in their own unique role on a team. And that's kind of what led them to be so successful in the Adaptive Esports tournaments, was kind of that peanut butter and jelly like effect. You have Solitude, really great on defense, always filling in those gaps, watching flanks, watching angles. Then you have Dizzble getting really involved heavily on offense, kind of opening up those offensive plays. So I think they're a good match with either one. The only thing that might be a hang-up is Atomic and Chicago are used to now playing with the opposite one, and they have kind of opposite play style. So there might be a little bit of an adjustment in those earlier rounds, but like we saw, they were communicating so well with each other. And we're just going to jump right into this one. First match of your best of 3. It's going to be Dizzble getting a nice clear onto the blue side of the pitch. We have Atomic, Chicago going to be facing off, squaring off. Chicago with a nice little clear here. Tries to wait patiently on that side wall. Atomic tries to win that 50, but ball still going to be on the blue side of the field. Struggling to clear now. Chicago and Dizzble continue to mount that offensive pressure. Dizzble going to be wrapping for this play. Up for it. Here we see going to be settling this one down. Tries to get the touch over to Chicago, but that offensive play going to be slowed down, and ball now in possession of the blue team.
Well, Dizzble showed Atomic with the flip resets. We're like, now that Chicago's on his team, he's got someone else to impress. And if you got the vouch from 2/3 of G2, you know, you doing work. But I like this mix of teams because I felt like Atomic and Dizzble were very aggressive and offensive-minded people. That now that you have kind of Solitude who's more defensive-minded and Chicago who is a flex player, it feels like. He's all over the place. That this will feel like a more balanced game than Chicago and Dizzble, feeling like they kind of were running things even though the score was so tight. As Atomic wants the second touch, Dizzble pops it up, and that's not ideal because it's in the box. Atomic redirects it to the right, and there's nothing you can do. Team Atomic up first.
Beautiful first little goal here out of Atomic. You see that perfect touch off the backboard. The double tap going to be securing that first goal, and now we'll see. Chicago and Dizzble have the answer. When it was Atomic and Dizzble, it was more often than not right off that next kickoff. They were able to secure a goal, but now with the teams switched, we'll see what they're able to produce. Solitude on the chase here, trying to slow down this play, and that allows Atomic to secure possession of this ball. Able to get that one up, sets it up perfectly for Solitude. And that's a 2-0 lead for the blue team.
Everyone needs a teammate like Atomic. The ankles that were broken from Dizzble, Chicago's like, all good, buddy. He does that to me too in scripts.
Don't feel bad.
Don't feel bad. He's really good. So Team Atomic up, and Solitude, the easiest shot in the world, impossible to miss. Redirected to the upper 90, Dizzble with a laser.
Here we have that answer that we've seen out of Dizzble in that previous series, right off the kickoff, off the wall, in the upper right corner. Able to thread that needle, secure that goal. Now the orange team only trailing by 1. Have to see next kickoff, it's Solitude sneaking that one away, and Chicago answers back with a demo. Sends him back onto that respawn, and
what are they up
now
to?
they're just watching the net, playing it patient against Atomic. Gonna say, come at us, playing a little game of chicken there within the game of Rocket League. We have Dizzble off to the races, tries to send this one across net. It's gonna be Atomic and Chicago up for it. Atomic gonna clear it cross field. Dizzble with the touch off the sidewall, dropping it into the lap. 2 members of the blue team, but Chicago trying to sneak that one away. That one gets away from him, however. They need to hustle back now on defense. Dizzble tries to send the pass over, but it's Solitude getting involved, getting in the mix, and mixing up Chicago and Dizzble. Atomic, nice touch, pop this one up, slow down some of that offensive pressure. Here you see Solitude just working on that angle. Now his teammates up and at him off the backboard. Atomic, nice little touch to throw Dizzble off just enough to send that shot wide. Chicago has to get back on the defensive end. Solitude waiting, gonna have to double back for this one just a bit. Chicago trying to send this pass over to Dizzble. Atomic is on the chase. Great pinch off the sidewall, almost finds the net, but Chicago able to secure the save.
Oh, what's Chicago cooking up? He's dodged one defender, dropping it off in the mail, and Dizzble scores, and we have a 2-2 game. The way that Chicago and Atomic can set up each other's teammates, it makes for some very fun Rocket League.
Yeah, just beautiful. You almost see it like calculated, perfectly orchestrated out of that orange team. The way Chicago was able to drop that one down into the hands of Dizzble to secure that goal and tie us up at 2s. Could not ask for a closer series between, I can't even say these teams, all of these players, since we've shuffled it up. Now we have Atomic trying to slow down the orange team offense yet again, keep this one on their side of the pitch. Able to sneak this one by them as they thought they were able to transition onto offense. Thankfully, Chicago is back for the clear. Now Atomic has to do the same, rotate back onto defense. Solitude in that corner. That one, however, going to be sent hot across the net. Dizzble trying to find the play yet again.
Good touches. I mean, Team Atomic have had so many close calls where the ball is, you want to avoid it in the box, in front of the net, and they're doing everything to keep it to the sides, and it's been so dangerous. I'm surprised Team Chicago haven't had a chance to strike, and that was Team Atomic's chance to return that to sender. This pops over. Solitude wasn't in the midfield. Will take him an extra second to get to the ball. And here comes the contest from Team Chicago to remove the ball from his possession. Thankfully, Atomic in the net to prevent any easy shots from going in. But, Frank, we only have 30 seconds remaining, and this next goal could be what decides this game.
It could be, or we could be going to overtime. We'll have to see. A great defense coming through from Solitude on that aerial play from Dizzble. Now Chicago up for it, but has to drop down. Get back on defense. Chicago going to clear this one towards the middle. Atomic tries to get aggressive on offense with that shot, but it's great defense from the orange team.
Solitude with a touch, and oh, that was a whiff from the defensive Team Chicago, and it bounces up and down, doesn't go in. Even Team Solitude can't believe it. That was crazy.
Literally half a second more, and I think that one finds the net, but that means it will be our first official overtime here. Oh, almost overtime over with that shot coming through from Dizzble. Thankfully, Solitude able to get that save. This one's still at the midfield, but hedging towards the orange side. Can Atomic get the goal? And he can. It's going to be an overtime victory here for the blue team.
And he's laughing away because it was Chicago in the net. And he said, keep your eyes on me in the pre-jump. Just too late from Chicago. An 18-second overtime ends in the favor of Team Atomic. Atomic himself kind of going lossless today. Or he's kind of win streaking all the games, it feels like.
Yeah, he's been kind of the X factor in a lot of these games, even all the way back to Snow Day. He was making the big plays. So Atomic having a good day of Rocket League out there, but you can see the shot attempts from the blue team just really getting involved on offense and kind of taking a page out of Dizzble's book with the way they were just sending shot after shot on net.
And I'm sure Team... Yeah, the other one. Team Solitude.
Switched up, yeah.
I know it's mixing me up. Team Chicago. I mean, how sad they were at that very last second before OT. The way that the ball just hit the cross, went up and down, never went in. You saw the reaction in their faces. I can't believe that happened, and they lost. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, tough little break there, but they managed to find that overtime win. Now going into our second game of the series, it's Dizzble. Up early, trying to get some offense started, but here we have Atomic transitioning this one onto the orange side for the blue team. We'll be sending this one into the corner. This might be an offensive break for Chicago and Dizzble. Can they get back for it? No, can't make the rotation in time, so it will be Dizzble scoring first here in our second game.
Oh, and I misspoke earlier. The Team Solitude ended up winning at the end of the day, but they could have went before OT, before overtime.
Yeah, they at least made good on that almost goal they scored at 0 seconds. So thankfully the ball bounced in their favor, but here in the second game, things going for the orange team early on. We'll have to see. Dizzble trying to carry this one in. Close little break here, but has enough speed to get that one across. Unfortunately, falls into the hands of Atomic, but the same thing happens to him as that one rolls off the post and up. Solitude almost able to recover and turn that into a goal, but another heartbreaker for the blue team. Now this one's set up, and it's an easy empty net for Dizzble to extend this lead to 2.
I think Team Atomic are just really unlucky. Now this is The one time that they miss is like a fluke, and now I'm starting to think they're cursed, because there's been at least 3 times where that ball goes to the goal line but never actually crosses. And then as you get lost in the sauce, being desperate enough to try to get that goal, then you overextend or you make mistakes, and Team Chicago have been punishing that, and they're ahead by 2. And Chicago himself has the ball. He's up to the ceiling. He got the reset, trying to set up Dizzble there. That was right in front, but couldn't connect in time.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Atomic and Solitude can recover from a few of those bad breaks they had early on and take this series in 2-0 fashion. For the time being, it's Atomic up for it, but a great challenge from Dizzble. Going to send that one sky high. Solitude there to continue the offense for the blue team. Atomic rolling this one across, and even saw Solitude waiting in the wings as that insurance policy if they needed it, but Atomic and Solitude getting on the board now.
So Atomic's that one-man army. Like, Solitude gives them the ball, and Atomic turns $1 into $1 million, turns a lemon into lemonade. Like, Atomic is 1v2ing, it feels like, at some points. Now it puts them only behind by 1. And Atomic needed Solitude on that right side to get a good pass in, but that's okay. I mean, it's the first time they've been playing together. Almost a double tap from Chicago. And that would have been some great. That would have been A+ style points from me.
Definitely. Might have been the goal of the night there, but unfortunately going to go just a bit high off that backboard. That means it's blue team on offense for the time being, hunting for that tying goal, and Atomic is going to find it with the pass from Solitude.
Yeah, Solitude just wins the challenge, pops it to the corner, comes out almost into the box, and it's not an easy shot, not an incredibly difficult shot, but one that Atomic had the space and time to do, and the conscience to make it. So 3 minutes, and what started off as a 2-0 for Team Chicago is now a 2-2 game. And Team Atomic are just connecting in all the best of ways. And even Atomic's going to stop this from fully clearing out. Lands on the ground, is kind of reading what the defense is doing. It pops it up quick, gets past 1, but not the second.
Yep, Dizzble has the good read on that play, but now you see them staring each other down. As Chicago is going to break away on offense at this point. See if he can set up Dizzble. Skirts that one in front of the net. That's going to leave an opportunity for the blue team to go onto offense, but Chicago with that rotation in the 1v1 against Solitude. It's off the backboard. Dizzble is there for the follow-up, and it's going to be the orange team taking the lead again by 1.
And I mean, Solitude has been impressed with his own performance. I see him shaking his head. I like the initial effort of he's always disrupting what Team Chicago and Dizzble are doing, but sometimes the result isn't ideal. So he takes the ball away from Team Chicago, but it bounces into the corner. It goes right back to Team Chicago. So the plan A is good, but it's kind of what the end result is. And hey, you got one back. So still 4-2 for Team Chicago.
Whatever Atomic and Solitude were doing in those middle 2 goals is what they need to start doing again. Whether it was rubbing that lucky rabbit's foot, I'm not sure, but it seems like luck has fallen back into favor of Chicago and Dizzble. They're able to extend that lead to 2 yet again off that nice little kickoff goal. We'll have to see. Sending another shot at net, but Atomic is there for the save. Now looks to transition this one onto offense. Comes in a little hot there to set up Solitude with that passing play, so that's going to allow Dizzble to regain possession, pass it over to Chicago, and the demo between teammates in the midfield leaves an AET 1v1 for the time being. Dizzble is up for it, but Solitude is there for the great challenge. He's able to shut down that play.
And great initiative from Solitude, because he was kind of on his own while Atomic was respawning, and you can't just sit in net. That gives way too much freedom for the offense to take whatever creative shot they can, and Solitude came out, great challenge, stops the play until Atomic himself could stabilize. 4-2 though, and I'm not feeling so stabilized for your Team Atomic. This lands in the box. Atomic clears.
Yep, nice little clear from Atomic in this corner. Ooh, almost able to find that angle on the orange net. Just a minute left to play now. Blue team needing to find 2 goals, but Chicago and Dizzble doing a great job on defense. Here's the clear. Forward pass over to Dizzble. Has one defender in net, but Atomic able to shut down that play. Now the blue team needs to get some offense going. The clock is not on their side. Great little pass from Solitude. Shot on net, but Chicago there for the save. Atomic, rotating back on defense, does not want to leave that net open.
Ooh, that redirect, disgusting! The way that Dizzble knows what Chicago is cooking up before he even puts the ingredients down. Right there, the redirect using the side of his car, the pre-jump from Team Atomic, just too low to make any contact with the ball. And a 5-2 score for Team Chicago is a statement.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest lead we've seen all night here, is a 3-goal lead, just to illustrate how close these teams have been. But it really feels like Chicago and Dizzble finding their stride with that play, now really starting to work together. Atomic potential opportunity here. Fortunately, that one going to be cleared towards that net. Has to hustle back, rotate, and stop another offensive play from the orange team. With a few seconds remaining, it looks like this one is done and dusted. Potentially be going to another Game 3 between these two teams.
Now it's figuring out who was the better duo between this series and the last series, and the way that Chicago and Dizzble have been ramping up.
Yeah.
The pure domination in this game too. I mean, we can't forget that they lost Game 1, but hey,
Sure.
we got a Game 3. So I've been a big fan of how Dizzble and Chicago are playing off of each other.
Yeah, I think that last play that we just witnessed is definitely testament to that they're really starting to gel together. And, Atomic and Solitude have it there as well. I think it's just now going into Game 3, they kind of know what to expect. Dizzble and Chicago have found their passing plays, are now playing at that same speed, so they're going to have to make those adjustments going into Game 3 if they want to be victorious in it.
And I think the biggest thing with Atomic and Solitude I'm noticing is just such a difference in play style. The way that Solitude likes to sit back and be the glue to a team.
Yep.
Someone who keeps everyone together. Maybe is even that third man back in a 3v3. And Atomic is just always going in.
Yeah.
He's so aggressive. He sets up the plays, but then Solitude is like a second behind. And that's just his play style of being that person that sits back. And I think once, like you said, they match that pace, Atomic and Solitude play more together, that these passes are going to look just as good, and they're going to score a lot more.
Yeah, and if you told me, hey, this is the first night these two teams have played together, I would never believe you, because they've really been able to gel together, work on that teamwork, and have really started to play on the same page for the most part. But yeah, it's just Atomic and Solitude now needing to adjust to Chicago and Dizzble, really finding their groove. And there's a fancy little play out of Chicago. Atomic is going to shut that one down, however, but nice little effort coming through.
Oh, almost get dunked on by Atomic, who's now bumping in front of the net. Trusts Solitude to step up and clean up the play, but it was too tough to create that gap. So still a 0-0 score back on the blue end. Solitude being patient with it and almost gets scored on. You can't be too patient in a 2v2 because there's just a lot more offense that's going to be happening. And now there's a tussle in front of the blue net. This gets pinched off down the field, and Team Atomic score.
Might have been a little bit of a slow play from Solitude there, but it works out in the end with that patience. Able to have Atomic wrap around and get that one cleared downfield, while Chicago and Dizzble still kind of scrambled to find the ball. So works out for the blue team. They're off to an early lead yet again. We'll see if they can close it out here in this game. Another shot at net, going to go just a bit wide. See Solitude wrapping back on defense. Chicago up for this one and able to get that touch. Atomic also able to be credited for that save. Solitude now, great little challenge out of him, shutting down his teammate Dizzble's shot attempt. And now Atomic shutting down Chicago. Great defensive plays out of the blue team here.
Yeah, Solitude really shines on the defense. He's had some fantastic and valuable touches, and he's not scared to come out of the net, but that's where he's best at, is that blue end. When Atomic misses that challenge, Solitude knows how to cover up the holes in the ship before it sinks. And as long as they're in the lead, this stays okay. Dizzble gets demoed 2-on-1 for Team Atomic, but in a 2v2, there's a lot more running after the ball than your usual 3v3, a lot more time spent chasing. So these demos can sometimes not have as much value, but Team Atomic have control for the moment, but Atomic himself is getting chased around, and Team Chicago have just robbed him.
Yeah, Team Chicago putting in that work to shut down the blue team. desperately wanting to get this tying goal, but Atomic and Solitude making it ever more challenging for them. Now we have Atomic up for this one. Teammate off it, gets the touch and gets knocked down into the corner. It's going to be Atomic and Solitude with the 2-goal lead.
Missed chance from Chicago, who I think got the reset off the ceiling, but just couldn't get any contact at all on this ball, which left Team Atomic with perfect control and whatever they wanted to do and how they score it. It was up to them. 2-0. And it's kind of uncharacteristic to see Team Chicago whiff that one and almost a redirect into the net. Dizzble just barely misses that.
Yeah, we kind of mentioned, Chicago and Dizzble found their footing, found that teamwork, that offensive aggression in the end of that previous game, and we talked about the blue team needing to make those adjustments. For the time being, they have done just that, shutting down these hyper-aggressive plays out of Chicago and Dizzble. It is a matter of how long can they do it for. Great stop out of Solitude, but you have Chicago back here. Can Atomic get the stuff? Is able to do so. And that one will thankfully roll out of net if you're the blue team.
The 1v1 and the way that Team Atomic have stopped every opportunity, but when there's nobody home, you can't stop that one. Team Chicago finally on the board in our best of 3.
You see Atomic's reaction, just shaking his head, knowing he slightly misplayed that one, and probably knows he's going to hear more about that later from Chicago. But they still have that 1-goal lead, despite that goal coming through from the orange team. But it's if they can hang on. Minute 47 left to play. Atomic has possession of this one, able to carry it almost by one defender, but a great hustle back from Chicago, and Dizzble will slow that one down. But here we have Solitude tries to set up the shot to Atomic to get that one off the hood of the car and into the net. Chicago, a little bit of an offensive play. Dizzble now trying to recover. Great little pass under. A little bit of a miscommunication might open the door here for Atomic and Solitude as this one floated up, but a great clear coming through from Dizzble to stop that offensive attempt. But it's Solitude now, getting scrappy, getting in the mix, getting this one popped up to Atomic. Just has to get it by his teammate yet again. Going to let this one drop down, slow down the play, let everything reset. We've got 1 minute left to play. Blue team still leading by 1, but the question is for how long? Chicago setting up the pass to Dizzble, and it's Dizzble from downtown able to secure the tying goal.
The setup was so cool. So Chicago hits it off the backboard, and traditionally you always want someone back there because once it bounces into the box, it's tough to read where the shot's going to be coming from. And I think Team Atomic were trying to stop that backboard play, and then they were too late to the pass back or the rebound back to the offensive player. I think that was Dizzble. So they're back in the game. This was a 2-0 start, and then we're left with 2-2. 40 seconds left. Atomic's been removed, but you got to go all the way downfield. And Solitude's looking like he wants the challenge, and he's trying to match that aggression that Atomic's been putting on the table. And you're going to have to. Sometimes you got to risk it for the biscuit, and to get the biscuit to win, this goes all the way down to Dizzble, who turns the play on its head. Atomic in the net. Solitude getting a touch, which almost kind of causes a misread. And Atomic pre-jumps, but Chicago gets the cleanup, and Team Chicago lead.
I was going to say, you got to risk it for the biscuit, and Chicago and Dizzble are looking hungry. They're able to secure that leading goal now. So the question is, can Atomic and Solitude find a tying goal in 15 seconds? We're about to find out. Right now, ball is in possession of that orange team. Solitude is there trying to contest, but it's a great little flip from Chicago, even securing the hat trick. The orange team is able to take the lead by 2.
So again, Solitude has these great ideas. The way he has these defensive touches, they're intentional. It's to slow down the play, but sometimes the result of where that touch goes isn't ideal, and you got to make sure that these defensive touches always go to the sides of the field, and some of his touches have gone directly to the middle and sometimes to the enemy team, and that has caused these free shots, while sometimes maintaining possession for Team Atomic would have been better than to just ward the ball away from both teams, because then it was easily recovered by Team Chicago, who then scored on them immediately afterwards. So Solitude has so much potential as a player, and once he kind of reads the intention from start to finish, he's going to become like a top player. I can see it.
Yeah, it's one of those, thinking of 2 steps ahead versus just
Yeah.
one. A very minor adjustment. And when you're playing against a member of G2,
It's hard. You get punished.
I was going to say, don't put me out there because it'll be embarrassing. But great matchups between these two teams, both going to the 3rd game in the series, both down to the wire. We even had overtimes on display. And every player, really, there was a highlight for each single person out there. So just a fantastic night to watch some Rocket League, really.
What a great experience to also be able to team with someone new. Sometimes you get so used to your own team's play style. You're in this echo chamber of what you're good at, mostly good at. And sometimes playing with someone who's just that much better than you exposes where you could be better at. And really, they also set you up, and you get to see how a perfect professional setup does look like. And Atomic Chicago made them look so good. And they are, I mean, good on their own, but how much better they looked when a G2 player is like setting them up in the box. It makes Rocket League look so easy.
Yeah. I think that was really kind of what was awesome to watch, was how quickly, even, on both ends, they were able to adapt to their teammate and their opponent and just make everything so exciting to watch. You kind of saw the evolution of their teammates through there, and I mean, I'm just excited to watch, more Rocket League in the future. So with that, we got to kick it all the way back to the beginning, because Steve and Ujesh, their series ended in a tie. And I just have to get a word from Ujesh real quick. Was this part of the script? Did you guys talk about, is this like a WWE scenario, or do we need to schedule more matches between you two in the future?
Well, first of all, I had 2 strategies, and I got to ask Steve. Steve, did you enjoy the nachos?
The nachos?
Yeah, I had nachos delivered to your house. They were supposed to arrive right in the middle of the match, and I don't know if they arrived or not. Did they show up?
No. Did you enjoy the D's?
I had 2 strategies because I knew I was not going to beat him, so I literally ordered nachos. I was hoping you'd be on camera right now eating nachos, because I ordered nachos.
Somebody's out there eating nachos. It's not me. No.
Oh my God! They went to
The rats?
house. I calculated. I was trying to calculate the time. I was going to have the nachos arrive right when you're in the middle of the game. The doorbell was going to ring. I instructed the delivery guy to not leave the nachos on the doorstep. They have to give it to you. That was kind of my plan to win. And then I realized that wasn't working because you kept playing the whole time. So then the only strategy I had at the end was to try to just crash into your car. So that was my strategy. Wasn't a good one. Didn't work.
Yeah, Steve, what did you think of these creative strategies that Ujesh brought out? Now the nachos, Ujesh was just out demoing everybody. Did that mess up your team at all, structure-wise, to deal with Ujesh?
Oh man, well it was rough. Always having double the points that you just had at every turn. It was difficult continuing to carry that burden. Fortunately, Dizzble and Atomic were able to hold it down and worry about that while I was busy worrying about making sure that I was looking better than Ujesh. So, and I really like to thank the Mighty Duck format. I think the strategy worked, and in the end, the plan prevailed.
Yeah, I think we definitely saw the strategies coming through, some great Rocket League out of both you. I do like the fact that it ended 1-1 in the series, so I think the only thing we can hope for is more AET and more Rocket League in the future. Is that something we can announce or expect here?
Well, here's the thing. I was listening to you two wonderful commentators mention, how cool is it to get to play with G2? You said how many get to play with, professionals like this, which is so true, But Dizzble didn't come to play. Dizzble came to get clips, and he got them.
Yeah.
Right? Dizzble got the dunk on Chicago, and then Atomic, undisputed champions of Rocket League, Solitude out there doing work, showing what disabled people can do. But for too long, some argued that disabled players don't deserve a seat at the table because it's impossible for them to compete with professionals. It's impossible to get those dunks that we just saw, right? But here's the thing. If you're a disabled person, you hear it's impossible a lot, but AbleGamers exists because amazing players like that need to have experiences. We need to make it possible for disabled players. Mount Sinai makes it possible for healthcare for disabled players. Adaptive Action Sports makes it possible for Olympics to be a dream that comes true for disabled people. And with the power of Logitech, we're making it possible for disabled players to turn disabled esports pros. We're creating that path. And I believe all of us, everyone listening together, make this world a better place by giving every disabled player an opportunity to turn impossible into I'm possible.
Absolutely beautifully said. Could not have said it better. And I know Ujesh, in that marketing message that we debuted last season, mentioned this is not a one-time thing. This is something we plan on doing year after year. So with that being said, of course, we want to announce that the Adaptive Esports tournaments will continue, and you can expect that kickoff to be taking place here on May 6th. So like Solitude even mentioned, talking about how just get out there and play. Well, like Steve mentioned, now you have the path to go pro. You could be the next player being teamed up with G2, finding your path to the RLCS, finding your path to being an AET champion. So that AET summer kickoff is going to be taking place on May 6th with that $5,000 prize purse. If you want to find out more, you can, of course, apply at aet.gg. Get involved with that community and, be the next Solitude and Dizzble up on the main stage playing with those professional players.
And Solitude said it earlier about just signing up, get involved. Doesn't matter where your confidence is or where your skill set is. The community is so welcoming, so nice. And Ujesh, this is such an awesome initiative. I'm excited for May 6th. How about you?
No, I'm super excited. And just go to aet.gg to sign up. And, if you have a teammate, bring a teammate. If not, we'll help you find a teammate. And as Steve mentioned, one, it's all about having fun, meeting people. But two, it's a chance to really show off your skills. Clearly I have none. I'm still disappointed. I'm just heartbroken that Steve did not get the nachos I shipped. I got to figure out where the heck those nachos
You might need to refund that order. Yeah, that might be lost.
I got to get a refund on my nachos. I heard, Steve, that was like your favorite snack food.
Just a tease. He's like, I was going to give you nachos as payment for this.
No, I heard it was your favorite snack food, and now I got to figure out where the heck they went. I shipped them somewhere.
They kept them.
I think tournaments like this and having fun are what we live for, right? We say life is more fun when you play, and we mean it. Everyone should play and have a good time, and that's what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. And I guess I'll leave the final words here for Steve. Is there anything you want to say to a player that might be on the fence of getting involved in our Adaptive Esports tournaments? Is there anything you'd say to them and that might be on the fence there?
I was actually talking to Dizzble in the green room with Atomic, and he was mentioning how it's heartbreaking that he likes playing Valorant and he can't play it because the anti-cheat is blocking his controllers. And that is an experience that a lot of us in the disability community have, where a blocker comes up, whether it's an anti-cheat or a tournament that doesn't believe in you, or you don't have the opportunity to practice, right? You don't get those chances. Kurt Yeager, who's been a disabled actor for a long time, once told me that one of the things that breaks his heart is it's not acting roles that aren't given to disabled people. It's the chance to become a professional and learn in school and get cast in plays. And that's what this tournament does, is it gives you a chance. So even if you don't think you're good, even if you think you have room to grow, this is your playground. This is where you learn. This is where you train. This is where you get to the Coliseum. Start here.
Beautifully said, and thank you guys for joining us here on the stream. I promise we will settle the beef another time, and we will get to the bottom of where those nachos ended up. Somebody's having a great dinner right now.
I
Jen.
want some nachos. Can you talk trash to me and send me nachos? That is like the nicest beef we've ever seen, literally and metaphorically.
Yeah.
Would you get up from your game to go get nachos? Like, where's your priority at?
Right. I don't know, and that's crazy. If
nachos.
If Steve would have just gotten up from the match to get nachos, that man loves
Imagine if they
nachos.
still won?
Yeah, and still won.
Get your nachos, eat while you're playing.
Then that is something that definitely deserves the smack talk. If he was beating Ujesh nachos in one hand, controller in the other. But like we said, we have more Adaptive Esports tournaments planned for you guys. Apply today. That tournament is going to be kicking off the next season on May 6th. We hope you guys can join us. But like Ujesh said, I think life is better when we play, and it's the best when we all play together. So from myself and Jen on the desk, it's been a fantastic AET Invitational, and we'll see you all on that AET kickoff. Peace.